here's what the problem is with Nvidia and that piece. He does say that there's competition, and he really kind of signals that it's AMD. With Charstone's AMD and Nvidia, I think Lisa Su's doing a remarkable job. I don't think that she would even admit that they're competition right now, Nvidia. I think Intel, let's just take them off the table. We've got to stop considering Intel as a competitor to anyone other than itself.
In this segment, Jim Cramer discusses the multifaceted landscape surrounding Nvidia and its perceived dominance in the tech market. He emphasizes that while Nvidia is often viewed as the centerpiece of innovation, several negative factors are influencing its stock performance. Cramer advises caution, suggesting that investors should not rush into buying Nvidia without considering its recent price fluctuations and the competitive landscape. He references a note from Michael Semblis at JP Morgan, which points out that while Nvidia has been a powerhouse, increased competition from companies like AMD could threaten its market share and margins. Cramer highlights the importance of understanding these dynamics rather than blindly following the hype around Nvidia. Cramer elaborates on the historical context of Nvidia's market position by comparing it to past tech industry collapses, such as Nortel and Cisco. He expresses skepticism about the notion that Nvidia operates in a monopolistic environment, arguing that the lack of direct competitors does not equate to abusive market behavior. Instead, he suggests that Nvidia's success stems from its ability to meet the demands of its customers, many of whom are large companies capable of generating significant revenue. Cramer notes that the recent criticism from analysts has led some investors to reconsider their positions on Nvidia, emphasizing the need for a more nuanced understanding of its business model and the factors influencing its performance. The conversation also touches on broader themes in the semiconductor industry, with Cramer noting that companies like AMD and Intel are navigating their own challenges. He mentions recent layoffs and strategic shifts within these firms, which could impact their competitiveness against Nvidia. Cramer remains optimistic about AMD's potential, despite acknowledging that they currently lack the resources to match Nvidia's capabilities. He stresses the importance of remaining informed about the industry's evolving landscape and warns viewers to approach investment decisions with caution, considering both the current market conditions and the historical context of technology investments.
So it was not just Nvidia. We all make it sound like that Nvidia is the sun and everything revolves around it. But there were a lot of negatives yesterday. They were all individual negatives. Nvidia, I've been saying, let it come down. Look, I love Nvidia. Everybody knows that. I hate the love. I shouldn't say it because it's just a stock. But I've been saying ever since the quarter, you got to let it come down. And don't be a hero in this. I mean, I tried to compare it to last night to the Cowardly Lion, because, counting you guys to stop me, basically, before we go into it. And I feel that that's the way it is. I really do.
We talked yesterday about the Michael Semblis note out of JP Morgan.
That was the factor.
He looked at not just the argument that competition is coming for Nvidia and their historic margins and market share, but it sounds like he thinks there should be more progress by now on some of these use cases.
Okay, I think that's really great, because there were a lot of people who told me why it was down yesterday, and they were all wrong. I mean, it's down because Michael Semblis is maybe the most powerful strategic thinker right now on Wall Street. Yes, he didn't reveal he is a friend. But so what? I saw his son this weekend. His son's a great fisherman, just like his dad. Here's what the problem is with Nvidia and that piece. He does say that there's competition, and he really kind of signals that it's AMD. With Charstone's AMD and Nvidia, I think Lisa Su's doing a remarkable job. I don't think that she would even admit that they're competition right now, Nvidia. I think Intel, let's just take them off the table. We've got to stop considering Intel as a competitor to anyone other than itself. But there was that notion that mainframe spend was all wrong, and there was the 1990 to 2000 fiber connection. He compared it to that. I wanted to vomit when I saw it. I think that Michael's terrific, but let's just understand, these are going down because there are real thinkers, big thinkers who read Michael Semblis, and they just changed their mind. One of the few people makes you change your mind.
Jim's referring to this chart, which I think the booth has, where he looks at data center revenue for Nvidia versus IBM peak revenue in '69 and Cisco, Nortel, Lucent peak spend in 2000.
Look, I remember that anyone who remembers the Cisco, Nortel, Lucent knows that was a collapse situation. Nortel just immediately collapsed. Lucent collapsed. Turns out that both of them had accounting issues, so it made it even worse. Cisco got to some outrageous multiple that was undeserved. And what I never attacked Michael, but I did say, listen, all these companies, give me a break. The companies that are customers are absolutely they're nation states. They can print money. NVIDIA himself, Jason Wang, has said over and over again, the CEO, look, if you buy our stuff, you get an amazing return. And he has demonstrations of amazing return, and that was ignored by Michael. And that was painful. But can we have no doubt about it? The idea is so chilling that if it might be mainframe or fiber, that it made you think, let's step back. Now, I believe this was going to be the case because this was the quarter where you should have seen that there are a lot of companies buying Blackwell because they believe they can make a lot of money with Blackwell. Instead, we got not enough Blackwell, and we started thinking, wait a second, maybe all these, what we call them hyperscalers and tech titans, are dreamers. Now, in return, I would say, is Mark Zuckerberg a dreamer? Meta AI runs a little bit slower than the others. So the only way to speed up anything is with Nvidia. The only people who seem to realize and went from hold to buy yesterday in terms of the power of Nvidia was the Justice Department.
Yes. So we're left with these Bloomberg headlines for now about these subpoenas, Jim. The notion is, do they penalize customers for not being exclusive? Do they make it hard to switch out?
Okay, so let's first deal with a subpoena. When I saw that story, look, Bloomberg's doing some great reporting. They're not. But the Justice Department already signaled that they're interested. Do people think that they pick up the phone and say, hey, Jensen, could you send her some of those documents? It doesn't work like that. You have to operate with subpoena. Now, we're all scared. When we see subpoena, we think, woo. No, I mean, you can't just call the CFO, Colette Kress, and say, hey, Colette, could you send me 15 million pages of what you've done? Now, the other problem is that, okay, so you're NVIDIA, and you're trying to allocate everything, because everything's a short supply. Are you supposed to give the customers who have not put in big orders the next round? I mean, what are they supposed to do in video? Are they supposed to say, you know what, we got to sabotage our business because we're worried about Justice Department? Now, there was a time, if you go back to let's enjoy ourselves with a little semblance nostalgia for another issue. Mm-hmm. If you go back to 1990 to 2000, one of the principal worries of Intel was the idea that they're monopolists. But they got lucky because they had AMD. And they could always say, listen, we have 90, AMD has 10. I mean, it's too bad that NVIDIA can't find someone who has 10. I actually felt that the cure for any antitrust is that Lisa Su, AMD, picks up and does it again and gets NVIDIA out to a way that they're able to bail Intel out from the investigation. But please, this idea of a subpoena, they can't just send them a letter saying send everything. They have to do that. And one of the things that NVIDIA they have to deal with is, what do you do when everything's in short supply? Who do you give the next round? Do you go after your big customers, or do you give things to your small customers? Which is, like, if that's what they want, that's the equivalent of, like, it's almost like socialism of orders.
So you think they have ready answers for whatever DOJ has questions?
This statement I love the quick statement that NVIDIA said, which is, look, we worked really hard, and we have this position. Now, we know from Google to find them as a monopolist, and by the way, anybody's a monopolist, it's how they abuse the monopoly. And remember, we have to go back to why this all happened. It was Standard Oil at 100% of the market, and every time someone new opened up, they came in and directly underpriced them, and that wiped out that competitor. That is not happening here. They don't have any competitors. So the question is, what do you do if you're the Justice Department and you go after a company that has no competitors? But they seem to think that it doesn't matter. Like, Apple's really great, so maybe we should look at that. I mean, that seems like, is that really the point? I mean, Jonathan Cantor, he has to deal with why Intel didn't do great AI chips. It was not because this company, NVIDIA, is a monopolist in behavior. Google, they claim, was a monopolist in behavior, and they won in court. Right. This is a much tougher case.
So the long-time saw has been one man's margin is another man's opportunity, right?
Exactly.
It's not 100% share, but it's 90% share with this company.
Well, we always remember U.S. Surgical, which is the great one, because they had gigantic margins, margins in the 30s and 40s. And then suddenly J&J went into the stapling business, and they came in with 18% margins, and that was much higher than the normal business. So the company we think can come in and have margins that are much higher than they are currently, but much lower than NVIDIA. That would be what Michael Semblis is predicting for JP Morgan. Find me that competitor. I think if we had Lisa Su on here right now, as great as she is, and I think that AMD is fabulous, I think she would admit, listen, we're not where we have to be. And NVIDIA is, particularly with training. Now, Michael said they have to lean on inference, because they've done a lot of training. Training doesn't make you any money. Inference makes you money. But that's not the case of NVIDIA and the customers. They're spending more money and time on training because they want to win in terms of data. The Mark Benioff data analysis. Right. So I think that I know I take my life in my own hands when I disagree with Michael. But I felt that his piece was incredibly powerful and really got people scared.
In conclusion, the video provides a comprehensive look at the current dynamics within the artificial intelligence sector, emphasizing Nvidia's influential position and the complexities surrounding investment decisions made by hyperscalers. It highlights the contrast between technological innovation and financial responsibility, particularly through the lens of Elon Musk's aggressive AI investments and the challenges he faces as a leader. This narrative encapsulates the broader themes of competition, urgency, and the critical nature of strategic decision-making in the fast-paced tech environment. As viewers reflect on the insights shared, they are encouraged to consider the implications of these developments. How do you perceive the balance between innovation and financial prudence in the tech industry? Additionally, what impact do you think Musk's approach to AI investment will have on the future of technology and leadership?